dark blue. You left me here when our time was through. And under the covers, beneath of the surface, I can't find the others that work out my purpose. I'm in the deep dark blue. I'm in the deep dark blue. Dark blue.
Welcome to Talladega Super Speedway. It's race number 6 in Season 2 of the YCS Cup Series. And our 39 drivers better be ready to take on the chaos that Talladega always presents. They'll have 10 laps to keep their car clean and avoid getting caught up in the big one. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is one of our key drivers to look out for today. He always finds himself up front of these tracks like Daytona and Talladega. He's got one top 10 in the 2 Talladega races last season, 10th place average finish, and he did lead 2 laps. Let's see if he can keep his number 17 Ford Fusion up front. He starts in the 3rd position. And Jimmie Johnson, I know I talk about him a lot. This is the last time we talk about him unless he wins today. He's got one top 5 in both the Talladega races, 15th place average finish, 4 laps led. But the key thing here is that he was the leader at the white flag in both Talladega races. He failed to win. Let's see if he can get it done. And then finally, Denny Hamlin. Can he control the field today? He did not lead any laps at Talladega last season, but he did lead a lot of laps at Daytona earlier this season. Let's see if the 11 Toyota Camry can get to the front. He starts P20 pretty far back. On the pole, it's Chase Elliott. And starting second is Brad Keselowski. Row 2 is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Casey Kane. Jimmie Johnson and Joey Logano, row 3. Trevor Bayne and Dale Earnhardt Jr., row 4. Austin Dillon and Greg Biffle, row 5. A mix of Chevys and Fords in the top 10. Eric Almirola, Ryan Newman, row 6. Ty Dillon and rookie Brian Scott, row 7. Stuart Haas teammates in row 8. That's Kevin Harvick and Danica Patrick. Carl Edwards and Kurt Busch in row 9. And Tony Stewart and Denny Hamlin in row number 10. Row 11, Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth. Paul Menard, Chris Buescher, row 12. Row 13, Landon Castle and Jamie McMurray. Behind them, it's Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney. Row 15, Kyle Larson and David Gilliland, who's making his first part-time start this season. He's in the 35 for Front Row Motorsports. Clint Bowyer, Jeffrey Earnhardt, row 16. Casey Mears, David Reagan, row 17. Matt DiBenedetto and AJ Allmendinger in row 18. Michael McDowell, Justin Allgaier, row 19. And Regan Smith rounds off the field. Daytona 500 winner Chase Elliott leads the field to green, and we're racing at Talladega. Side by side down the back straightaway they go. Chevy Ford is the inside and the outside lane. They kind of split up during qualifying, but Chase Elliott's clear of Brad Keselowski. He will lead lap number 1. We'll see if the Chevys and Fords can get lined up with each other. As Chase Elliott goes up to block Brad Keselowski. Keselowski could get down to the inside. There he goes. And now a couple Fords lined up and a couple Chevys. And where are the Toyotas? They did not qualify well. There's Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth on the outside. They're trying to make that third line. And we got a wreck. And one up and over. That's Jamie McMurray over the top of Kyle Busch. Caution out early. And that happened quick off of turn 4. Chris Buescher was in it as well. I think he was the initial car to get loose in the middle. There's the 34, the yellow car in the middle. And oh boy, did he get loose. McMurray, trying to avoid him, goes to the inside and up and over the top of Kyle Busch he goes. We'll really slow the replay down to get a better look at it, but we saw this multiple times the last time we were here at Talladega. It was during the playoffs in Season 1. Fords kept getting loose. Greg Biffle, Eric Almirola, among others. And another Ford in the middle, Chris Buescher, tries to save it. He overcorrects into Kenseth. McMurray trying to avoid, gets pushed by Kyle Busch. And once the air gets under that car, it takes it all the way up and over and then back on all fours. Could have been a lot nastier of a wreck. I think McMurray got off lucky with just the one flip. But yeah, the Fords, Chris Buescher, he is a rookie. So maybe he's got that, but we saw a lot of problems for the Fords last time here at Talladega. Hopefully it's not a problem again, and maybe it's just a rookie error off of turn 4. But the wrecked cars have been cleaned up, which means we're ready for the restart, and it's Brad Keselowski who takes us back to green. What a big push on the outside. We know Casey Kane was really good, but now the inside, they're better lined up with Joey Logano dropping to the bottom. Now 3 Fords on that inside and 3 Hendrick Chevrolets up at the top. Dale Jr. with Casey Kane and Chase Elliott. Stenhouse Jr. up to block the 24. Now the 24 goes to his outside. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. falling back in the middle. Big side draft for Chase Elliott and Casey Kane on Brad Keselowski. Elliott trying to fight back, and here comes the middle with Stenhouse. And I saw Denny Hamlin in the middle as well. Chase Elliott's going to lead that lap, and no one's jumping up to block Stenhouse. Big run from the middle. Stenhouse, after just falling back a lap ago, he's to the front. The 17 makes his way to the point here at Talladega as the field flies down the back straightaway and into turn 3. Stenhouse is going to lead this lap, and here comes Denny Hamlin, a move on Brian Scott. Scott loose in the middle. He saves that car, but here comes the 11. He's fought all the way from 20th place starting, and Keselowski's going to go with him around the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse. But it's Denny Hamlin to the lead, and now he drops down to block Stenhouse and back up to defend against Chase Elliott. Hamlin leading at Talladega for Joe Gibbs Racing. Here comes a big move from Chase Elliott. Clears Denny Hamlin through 1 and 2. And now trying to block. He's loose in front of the 11. Chase Elliott gets turned into the wall. And that sparks the big one in turn 3. The caution's out. Lot of cars involved in this one. They're going to red flag this one quickly. Cars stopped at the start line. But that all came from Chase Elliott blocking Denny Hamlin. He was loose in front of the 11. And I think there's Hamlin offset to the 24. Gets him turned hard into the wall. Back down into traffic. Only a few cars were able to sneak through that, but most of the front runners are taken out. I see a couple Roush cars were in that. Stenhouse and Biffle, both the Penske cars. Logano and Keselowski, neither one of them finished at Daytona either. But as they clean it up, we'll really slow it down like we did the first replay, and it just was offset to the push. Elliott was already loose and hard into the wall. On 2 wheels he goes. He takes out 2 of his teammates. Ryan Newman gets stacked up back there with Danica Patrick. Look at Brian Scott, Jimmy Johnson, and Trevor Bayne sneak through. And then behind Bayne, I think it was Biffle. He had nowhere to go. And Kurt Busch actually had damage there as well. Was pushing Danica Patrick. He might have to come down pit road to fix that. But here it is again. Full speed. It's the big one at Talladega. And now that they're done cleaning up this mess, we're ready to go back racing. Kurt Busch did make his way to pit road, so he'll restart in the back. Denny Hamlin leads at the restart, and it's Brian Scott on his outside. Rookie in the 44 for Richard Petty Motorsports. Big push on the bottom, though. Johnson looking to the outside of Denny Hamlin, but Hamlin covers. As they go through 3, here comes a big move from rookie Brian Scott. He goes to the inside. Hamlin's going to block that as well. But he's up to second, the rookie, with 2 laps to go. Can he make a move around Hamlin? Here he goes to the outside. He's got Johnson pushing him down the back, and now the whole field splits apart. Here comes the inside there lined up as Bayne gets loose in the middle. He gathers it up, but it's Brian Scott up to block the outside at the white flag. 1 to go for the 44. Will Jimmy Johnson make a move? He looks to the outside. Now to the inside of Brian Scott. Jimmy Johnson. Scott up to block Almirola. He's loose. And off of turn 4, it's Jimmy Johnson, the man of steel, looking to score his first win of the season. Jimmy Johnson wins at Talladega. It was the move off of turn 2 for the 48 that won him the race. His move to get to the inside of Brian Scott. First he tried the outside and Scott went up to block it. And then he gets the position on the inside. Scott did everything he could to try to get back to the 48, but it was not enough. Jimmy Johnson is the winner at Talladega. He burns it down for the fans. Season 1 champion Jimmy Johnson tops the leaderboard. Denny Hamlin, who had a strong run today, he gets second. Brian Scott, the underdog, gets third. Matt DiBenedetto, back-to-back top 5s for him. He's fourth. And Landon Castle for Front Row Motorsports rounds off that top 5. And I'll also mention Martin Truex Jr. He got 7th, his first top 10 on a super speedway, so good for him and Furniture Row Racing in that 78. And then here's 11th to 20th. A lot of underdogs: Jeffrey Earnhardt, Regan Smith, Michael McDowell, Justin Allgaier. And then the first page of the wrecked cars, Chase Elliott. He had such a strong car. So did Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Brad Keselowski. I mean, those three always have good cars. Casey Kane, too. I was mentioning how he was a good pusher. He was at Daytona, and he stuck to the bumper at Chase Elliott until Elliott made that move on Hamlin. And then really it was the nose of the Toyota versus the Chevy there that sparked this whole crash, because Elliott was perfectly fine in front of his own teammate, but then in front of the Joe Gibbs car, it was just too much to handle for the 24. But here's the playoff standings. After 6 races, we've got 3 Hendrick cars locked in now: Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson, and Chase Elliott. The Joe Gibbs cars continue their consistent start to the season. Carl Edwards plus 56, Denny Hamlin plus 71 at the cut line. His worst finish is, 11th this season? And that was just at Bristol, too. So we're going to switch to the regular season standings, because although we had 3 Hendrick cars locked in with wins, only 1 is in the top 10 in points. And this matters. The top 10 in the regular season get playoff points at the end of the regular season, at the start of the playoffs. And right now it's Denny Hamlin 15 ahead of his teammate Carl Edwards. And we'll take a look at this every so often, and especially at the end of the regular season. It'll be up every race. And then here's the Rookie of the Year standings. We haven't looked at this yet. Ryan Blaney up at the top, Brian Scott right behind him. The rookies get extra points, not just for where they finish, but they get points for leading laps, winning poles, and even making playoffs if any of them can do it. And we'll look at this every so often, every few races as well. And that's it from Talladega. Up next on the YCS Cup Series schedule is Darlington Raceway. And then following Darlington is Dover, Charlotte, and Pocono. We just keep on rolling for this season. But thank you all for stopping by, and I will see you at the track Too Tough to Tame.